Hello, I'm Anna from Shiny Happy Art, and I'm adjusting the screen. Thanks for joining me. It is Wednesday night. It's been a huge week already for me. I've had to go to Bunnings tonight and buy a heap of paint for a mural that I'm working on for the next 2 days, and I was working all day today as well, so I've been looking forward to having a bit of a break and doing a painting which is something that lasts. I think that's one of the reasons I really love painting, is because you've got something to show for your time. And when you're cleaning up things, hi Leanne, Lee, Steve V, welcome. Thank you very much for joining me. Yeah, you've got something to show for your time when you're painting. I find if I clean up, it can be messy just as quickly as when you started, and I really like the satisfaction of having something to show for a day. So, hi Carly, hi Wendy, that's great. So this is number 7 in the Shiny Happy Landscapes series. I will be lightly spraying the back of these paintings and pushing them flat or squashing them flat between some books, I think. Very, very soon. Hi Sarah, Diane, everyone's popping in. Thanks very much. It's a good time of night, I think, for doing that. Denise. So they're the first 6. We're going to do number 7 today, and we are going to visit, just getting messages here, which I better turn off my phone. Yeah, we're going to visit Central Australia. So we're actually going to Ormiston Gorge tonight, courtesy of Sue Adcock. Thank you very much for your beautiful photo, Sue. Now, Ormiston Gorge, I had to look it up because I haven't been to Central Australia yet, but it is 135 kilometres west of Alice Springs, so that's where you start. It is on the Larapinta Trail, and it's in the West Macdonald Range, and I've printed out Sue's photo. I've got it on my screen here as well, and it is glorious on the screen. So what a beautiful photo, Sue. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. And I'm thinking, I'm tossing up. G'day, Josh. My boy Josh is here too, and Helen, hello. So I'm tossing up whether I do it as a horizontal format or a vertical format. I've done everything else vertically, so you can see my dilemma. What I do love about this photo is that there are these tiny, tiny people here. Tiny, tiny people. I'm very tempted to interpret this. And it's such a beautiful photo. It's a shame to even think about it, quite frankly. Hi, Kathy, as well. I sort of want to interpret it in a vertical format, just to keep it all neat, because it is a challenge and a collection. So I think I want to make them uniform by making them vertical. So it will be a bit of pushing and pulling of the elements of this photograph to make that happen. And look, it will work or it won't. And if it works, that's great. It's a great experience. And if it doesn't work, that's great. It's a great experience. It's just done in a really public forum. So what the hell? We've done this before, haven't we? So I may as well just get stuck into it and see if I can make this thing work. I've already got some paints out on my palette. I'm using both my golden paints, which I use in my Paint Along the Month Club paintings, as well as some Liquitex and some Italia and a bit of Amsterdam. These are student acrylics and quite translucent, but I do like them. So I'm just sort of using up the other paints that I have. You can mix and match acrylics. They all have different properties, and as long as you use them enough to understand those properties, then you can really make them be useful for you. Okay, wow, Kelly as well. Oh, I hope you're feeling better, Kelly. Bit of an injury there. We have to talk. So, okay, enough talking, and I talk as I go, so let's get this facing down on the table. I have also modified my filming arrangements here to try and get a smoother action with the filming down on the table. I don't know if it's going to work. I hope it will. Okay, otherwise, yes, we're doing all of this publicly, so you're witnessing it's not history or anything, it's just let's hope it works. Hey, okay. Oop, there we go. So I've actually got this all coming from the back of the table now, trying to make it fit better on the screen and give you a better view. Not so much of a view of my room and all of the cords that are going on here, but more of the actual painting and the table. Now, part of the reason I want to stay vertical is that it does look better on the screen. You can see more of what I'm doing. And I will be loading this beautiful photo of Sue's into the main online page. That's it, bit.ly/ShinyHappyArt Landscapes is where the whole collection is. It's only $22 until the collection finishes, which is only a few more days' time. So if you are interested in having the collection of all of these demonstration videos, that's where they are. Okay, and that's where I'm putting all of these lovely reference photos as well. Okay, let me just make sure that is straight for you. And look, I can't see every question when people pop up details, but please do say hi. Tell me where you're from. That would be great. We are on the main page this time. I usually do these classes, it's not a class, it's a demonstration, in the Facebook group, which is Shiny Happy Drink and Draw with Anna Facebook group. So if you're wondering where the others, they are also there. Okay, but I'm going to interpret this. Look at this beautiful little island here, or outcrop of sand, and the white of the bark next to the darkness of the shadows behind. And look at the yellow on the water here. It's either a reflection of the trees above, or it's actually yellow foliage on the surface of the water. I'm not quite sure. So I also love the depth of color of the water. Okay, so get quite out of breath when I've got thinking and talking to do. Just bringing my water a little closer here. Okay, I think that will do it. So we're all set up, ready to go. When I do my online classes, I talk about staying relaxed, getting comfortable in your location so that you have the most likelihood of success when it comes to painting. So yes, let's call this, without having finished it, let's call this vertical impressions of Ormiston Gorge. I think I'll use a bit of yellow in my mix too. So just laying out where the elements are going to sit from a compositional point of view. I will add a tree here, trying to go just above halfway. And then down onto the water as well. The mountain goes down there. These are getting lovely and misty as they get further away. Helen too. Hi Helen. Haven't seen you for ages. Okay, so please do say hi. Where are you from? If you've seen any of the others, if you've been to Ormiston Gorge, let me know. If you want to go, let me know. That would be great. Looking at some of the photos, it does look like a Namatjira painting. It really does. And this, I think, is a beach. I probably could have brought this down lower, so I might just extend that down. Seeing I've squashed everything this way, I'll pull everything this way as well. And we'll see how it looks at the end. All right, so as I've done in the other paintings, because I'm painting on craft paper, so it's thick artist quality craft paper. I really like the mid-tone that I'm starting with. I'm going to just get a quick layer of paint on so it'll work as a bit of a primer, I suppose. It'll make the surface less absorbent, which means I'll use less paint in the long run. That's one of the functions of primer. Now, it is the palest of blues, so I've actually put a bit of phthalo blue on my palette there. And I do want it to be super, super pale, but it is not white. And that's one of the good things about printing things out. You can see that it's definitely not white. At a glance, it looks white, but when you've got a white edge on your print, you can see that it's not white. It's got a bit of blue in there. I think it's probably a bit more ultramarine-y. Anyway, getting that on. Going right to the edge of the page. And a little bit more colour up the top here. So I can't see any comments at the moment, but feel free, that would be lovely. I should have it going on my screen as well, probably. With this new setup, I am able to see my screen a lot better than I could in the last place, so that's a good thing. Okay, coming in now with acrylics, we're going dark to light, so I want to make this fairly dark browny red, I think. So this is burnt sienna, this reddy brown. Add a little bit of water to my mix to help with the flow. And I think I'll also add some of a darker brown. So this is raw umber. Might even put it straight onto the page. Less wastage if I do that. Now, if you're painting with watercolor, it's the opposite. You leave, you look at your lights first and then work back to your darks. But with acrylics, I find it easier anyway to start with darks first. And then I'm building up the textures. So there's a lot of texture in the center part of this painting or this photograph, and this sort of flat color, so no texture in the sky, very little texture in this very still pool of water, very little texture here as well, a lot going on through the center. So it's those textures that I'm going to try and communicate. A bit of white in this one, in this painting. But because it's a challenge and I have to sleep sometime, I will be pushing through a bit of red, bit of yellow, bringing in some of that orangey colour. But it is way too bright still. I think I might be bringing in some zinc white if I had it here, but I have some mixing white actually. Liquitex mixing white will give me that atmospheric perspective that I want as I go through. So it's just a translucent white as opposed to the opacity of titanium white. Okay, washing off my brush well. Now I do want to come back in. Now that is black. This is brown. Let's just get some more darker tones on there for now. It's already sitting on the surface a lot better because of the single layer of paint underneath there. There are some darker tones and rocks happening here as well. I'm probably getting ahead of myself and I should stop that. Okay, into the water though, and that is hi Pam, hi Carla. The water is really dark, so brown and black. There we go. I want that, whether it's a reflection or it's a flow of foliage, I don't know. If Sue's watching or if anyone's been there, feel free to mention what it could be. Now that's very watery. So if you've got an absorbent surface, it will also take some of the intensity out of your paint. So if you are doing watercolor on a fairly cheap absorbent paper, some of the cheaper brands just, that's exactly what they are. You won't be able to get the bright colors even if you're using the good quality paint. So the substrate that you're painting on does have a lot to do with your end result. Just putting a bit more white on there, building up this sandy edge. So I've really just blocked in the colors and blocked in the shapes at this stage. Okay, Bronte as well, Linda's here, that's great. I am just going to put my Facebook on here in an effort to see any comments that might be being made so I can answer your questions as we go. But this is sort of a way of setting out the composition. Okay, yes. All right, so Linda is already answering some of your comments there, which is wonderful. Thank you, Linda. But yes, please do comment. And please please tell a friend. Actually, that would be a terrific help. If you know someone who might be interested in doing a bit of painting or drawing for mindfulness, or just interested in what I do, because these paintings will be going up for sale on Sunday afternoon. And the people on the mailing list will get first dibs on that. But I would really appreciate it if you would tell a friend about Shiny Happy Art. That would be wonderful. Either tag them or share a post. It's really, really appreciated. Thank you. So Anne's saying Ormiston Gorge is a beautiful place, so serene. I can see that. I can see that. It certainly is. Okay, so I've just done another coat on the sky, and it's made it nice and really opaque now, which is exactly what I want. And I'm going to start working down the page. Now it's really, really light on the edge here, and these two mountain ranges in the back, or whatever they I don't know a heap about geography, but I know what I like. So I'm just going to put this line's coming down here, and this one is paler again. So this cloudy, paler look is atmospheric perspective, okay? But I do need to build up some textures in there. So I'm sticking with my number 16 flat brush, and I'm sort of got a scumble. So I'm rocking the brush, creating those textures, rocking. So I'm going to go from the back to the front, basically, if you think of it like that, simplifying it like that. Now I would like to put a bit of a hint of green in there. I can see there's green, but it's actually a grey green. So this is Jenkins green, which is a dark green. So I'm going to scumble a bit of that in there too. Now the thing is, when I'm doing this for a challenge and I'm doing this back mountain or whatever it is, part of the gorge, this is not the most important part of the painting, and I'm not aiming for ultra realism. So I don't need to spend a heap of time there. I also don't need to spend a heap of time here. So I'm rocking the brush, squinting a little as I go. There's a lot more green down the bottom here. Green, yellow, white, I'm popping in there. Trying to mark make with my brush so that I can give the impression of what's there. Now, a few dark, I know I'm going to come back in when this is dry and put some mixing white over the top, so I can go a bit brighter than reality at this stage. Now I'll need more of that reddy brown, which is burnt sienna, and I'm going to pop some actual red in there too. That's mega bright. Bring in some more white. Looking at, oh, I like that white. Really keen to mix colours on the canvas, on the painting, rather than on the palette. And this is something we're actually going to look at in this coming month's Paint Along at the Month Club painting, which was finalised just yesterday. We're doing the final editing of that now. I like doing it fairly close to time so that it's top of mind for me. And I'm going to reveal it to the Paint Along the Month Club members first. But yes, this mixing on the canvas rather than on the palette is one of the takeaways definitely from this month's painting. Now, I'm okay with how that's going. I'm going to bring in some black here now. See how I'm using the shape of the brush to mark make in the direction that I want. I will bring this yellow tree back in, don't worry about that. But I'm just building up textures. Textures. And if I was using a round brush, I'd probably get a more predictable mark, and I don't want a predictable mark. I want it to be a little, I want it to be varied. A bit of yellow in my green here as well. Okay, enough time spent there, I think. Now onto this big rock formation in the foreground. It's very reddy orange up the top there. More yellow in that mix. Now I've got more freedom to make these marks because of the dark background. I'll be coming back and adding the white highlights, so it will look darker than it should for the moment. Still manipulating the brush to create these textures. Don't want anything to be flat, because nothing in this picture is flat. Not on these mountains anyway, or the gorge. Oh, I wish I knew the correct terminology. Feel free to correct me. I'll bring some more white back in there though. Okay, and a bit more red. I do like the way that the red of this background rock has the green of the trees in front of it. So that's complementary colours and colour theory right there. Okay, all the way down to the bottom here. Picking up yellow, red, bit of this reddy brown I think too. Scumbling, textures. If I was doing this as a finished painting, I would definitely be spending a bit more time trying to get this detail correct. But really this could be looked at as a study for a future painting. Bringing some of the magenta in now, magenta and the brown, down the bottom here. Going behind where the trees will be. More brown, yellow, the two reds. Definitely more yellow, white and yellow. Coming down here. More reds in here, more browns. So everything that I'm doing is relative to something else that's near it. And it's all about creative problem solving. Look, it's not a problem that's going to hopefully not anyway, keep you up at night. But what I love about acrylics is that they are forgiving. You can just have a go, have a guess at what that colour might be, how you might mix that. And I can do it. I can do the guessing actually in the picture, which is fabulous. Now, when I bring some white highlights down there, it will separate out that front mountain or that front formation from the ones at the back. And then I'm going to put mixing white on those back too, remember? And that will sort of fade them backwards as well, which I really, really like the idea of. Okay. So looking at a couple of, I can't see all the comments here. I don't know why. Sometimes Facebook is a mystery. Hi Maria. Thank you for your kind words. I just really love sharing this stuff. And it's terrific to have art friends. So I know I love having friends who are interested in similar things to me. Many years ago I did a calligraphy class with a wonderful teacher, Olive Bull in Brisbane. And she had groupies. My goodness, did she ever have groupies? And she now lives in Tasmania, and she really was a brilliant teacher. She was a home ec teacher as well as an art teacher. And she was so inspiring and shared so beautifully. I'm very happy to be in a position now with a bit of knowledge to share it as well and get people inspired. But one of the best things about learning with Olive was learning or being around all the other people in her class as well, because they were interested in, we could talk about ink and pen nibs and exciting stuff like that the rest of my friends did not want to talk about. So art friends can never be underestimated. A couple of my art friends came to the pool today. I saw them there, which was wonderful. So it's great when worlds collide as well. And yes, it's a great thing to have art friends. So thank you very much for joining us tonight. So yes, if you are just popping in now, feel free to say hi. Tell us where you're from. I'm having a look through my screen now and it's like, oh, yeah, that's working. So always remembering it looks better from a distance, and you are seeing it smaller than real life. I'm seeing it bigger, and so I can be more judgmental, more critical. Now I want this to dry a little bit here so I can start putting that tree on, and I need this to dry here so that I can start putting that tree on. So I might just work on the water now. And most of my marks are going to be horizontal. And I'm going to try and catch some of the reflections. Now the reflections are obviously from the rock formations above. So there's some red in there. The more you look, the more you'll find. There's a bit of an outcrop there, so I'll pop a bit of extra light in there where it's being caught. Okay. Still trying to keep these fairly horizontal, picking up brown and black. The black's coming through here. Now I am stretching these shapes a lot longer than they are in the reference photo. So yes, I will upload, well, Sue's given me permission to upload her photo into the main class page. So thank you so much, Sue, and thank you to everyone who has sent in landscape photos. I think we've probably got enough. Well, we're on track for having a second series, which is great in the future. But yes, if you have a photo of a landscape that you think would be generally attractive to other people, feel free to send it in, and if you're okay with me using it either in a demonstration like this or an online class, I really appreciate it. I think it's fabulous seeing we can't travel for real at the moment, but we can travel through art, and that was one of the original reasons I was keen to do a landscape themed challenge or collection. Okay, so I'm going to change brushes now just because I want these marks to be a little bit smaller. So I'm going to change to my number 10. This one looks like it's on its last legs actually. This is my number 10 flat brush, which means it is 10 millimeters wide. It took me a while to figure that out. And when I realized it, I thought, oh my goodness, how did I not notice that sooner? But brush companies use different measurements. So it's the characteristics of the brush that are what you're looking for. It doesn't need to be this particular brush, but it is a bit, pretty close to its end. I think I've used it well. It's not an expensive brush, this one. If you're in Australia, it's just the Montmartre brand. I'd prefer to spend my money on paint than brushes. So that's what I do. And boy, do I spend money on paint. So yes, Bunnings loves me tonight. I had a really helpful fellow behind the paint desk. And we got some really terrific colours. So keep an eye out on my socials tomorrow. I'm painting a design though that's been given to me. So it's not my design. I'm just putting my spin on it, I suppose, which is a pretty relaxing way to do a mural in many ways. I hope it's satisfying, but yes, that's what I'll be doing for the next 2 days. And I've got plenty of paint to spend my time with. I bought external house paint this time, so I will take a few of my painter's colours or my artist's colours with me. And we'll see how it goes. I have done a few outdoor murals, but at least the weather's quite lovely at the moment. I'm bringing some mauve into the front there because it is in shadow, and I don't want to put in a grey shadow. I want a bit of a colourful shadow. So Linda's just added some details in the comments section there about how to send your landscape photos in if you're able to. Hello@ShinyHappyArt is the email address. And yes, we just need your permission and some details about where it is. That would be a huge help, thank you. And you might just turn on the computer or open your phone one day and find that I've painted yours. It's hard to predict. I do tend to do these challenges with pictures that pop up and they just have to sort of speak to me on the day, I suppose. And put some of this mauvey colour into the shadows at the back here as well to tie the two parts of the picture together. I try not to do shadows black unless I really have to, unless they're super dark. Picking up a few colours there. And I'm noticing in here there is a mauvey colour, so that will nicely tie it back to there as well. Okay, so I'm starting to put some of the highlights on because this is it's drier now, which is good. It's back to my number 16 brush though, aren't I? I don't know how that happened. Just did. I will bring a bit more red in though. No, that's way too light. Maybe if I bring some brown in as well, maybe even a bit of black. Keep it nice and dark. I will at the end be checking my lights and darks to make sure I have got it dark enough where it needs to be dark and light where it needs to be light. There will be a bit of greenery reflected in the water here, so some subtle greens. And back here I want to make that a little bit more solid, so I'm going to pull my brush down and unite those tones a bit more. It's really dark under that little outcrop there, so I'll use the rest of my black there. There's some dark tones here. There's dark just coming down the side here. Now I'm using the side of my brush a lot so that I get that lovely unpredictable, well, unpredictable is not the word because I know what mark it's likely to make because of practice, but it's giving you an irregular mark, I suppose. Now I will bring in a bit of a grey brown. I can see this is the edge here on this little sandy beach. As you can see that darker edge between the lighter of the sand and the slightly darker tint of the shadow, or sorry, the reflection. Now I've stretched that shape so it's not exactly the same as the reference. Here too I'm noticing the edge, the water's edge, the shapes that are there. Started noticing water's edges when I first taught a Monet Waterlilies class back quite a long time ago now. That painting is actually in my painting party book and it was done many years ago, but it's interesting looking at the water's edge in the Monet paintings and how dark he makes them. Okay, breaking up that reflection again with the corner of my brush. Time to put these trees on, I think. Okay, washing and drying that brush. Really good to lie your brushes down on the old tea towel there. Now, really dissatisfied with that brush. I want to put it in the bin, so I'll put it over there for a moment. Let's try another one. Okay, I'm still the number 10 flat brush. Okay, hi Glennis, hi Ty, hi Vicky, hi Di, hi Angie, Desley, Genevieve, Melinda. Thank you to everybody who's joined in. We've got a little bit longer together, but I'm about to add these trees now onto the beach. So with their lovely twisty branches. A bit lighter on the top of the beach. Sun shining here as well. Okay, now I'm doing a version of these trees. Now because it is an iconic site, it is a little bit more important to get these shapes right, because so many people have been here. But of course, a branch can always fall off a tree. And things do change. Using the side of my brush now to get a slightly thinner mark. This is still a bit of a well-used brush, let's put it that way. Bring this light up and down onto the ground there. Okay, I will change to a smaller brush. And this is a number 6 round. White and a little bit of brown. I've got another little outcrop here coming in underneath that first branch. That's close enough. And then I've got a tall, thin one with 2 thin trunks. Going to actually pull it down. They're going halfway up the rock wall behind them. Now my lines are not as thin as it is in real life, partially because I'm rushing and partially because of the brush. But I'm doing it anyway. Not even bending those bristles. I wanted just to dance on the surface of the paper, the surface of the painting. There we go, down there. Now I can add a bit more brown on my brush. Just a few of these rocky shapes. Do absolutely love my Lazy Susan at the moment. Some red rocks shapes coming down here. So that was burnt sienna that I brought in there. Okay, and I'm also, as I'm looking at it, noticing that there is a shadow tree behind there, whether it's a real tree or a shadow of one of the trees that I'm painting. I'm not sure, but I can see that shape in there, so I'm going to put that down now. So yes, if you are just joining in, do say hi, that would be great. And my ask of you tonight is to tell a friend about Shiny Happy Art, please. That would be great. I'm doing this terrific business incubator program, and I think I just need to help. I need some help getting the word out. It's a PR thing. So if you can help me with that, it'd be very much appreciated. I get some beautiful feedback from people who are painting a lot more often than they ever would have if they hadn't discovered Shiny Happy. So thank you to the people who do give me that lovely feedback. It makes it a pleasure to turn on the camera and film something for you. That's for sure. I feel very lucky to be able to do that. But yes, tell me and tell a friend, that would be absolutely fantastic. Okay, happy that I've got some of my darker shades on there now. So it's time to do the greenery of the foliage. I'm putting some white and some ultramarine blue together here to make a very natural green. You see that? It's not as leery as if I'd used the different, and a bit of white actually. Yeah, if I'd used a different blue, if I'd used that phthalo blue, it would be much brighter. I think I need a bit more blue in it though. Okay, so now I just have to give that impression of the foliage. Now, I'm not a big fan of the spongy look. Sometimes you can just be dotting on foliage and it's just way too spongy. I'm going to put a bit of red in there too. And I think it looks a bit predictable, I suppose. So I would prefer to make marks with plenty of paint on my brush. Plenty of paint, so it gives it a bit of texture as well. But I don't want splodges, I do want deliberate, thick, full of paint marks, even though it's a little brush. Linda's saying, please show us the photo again. That's a good idea. Okay, so these are the trees that I'm interpreting on here. So this is a good thing with the online class version as well. I upload the finished piece, so you can be watching the video on a computer screen or a phone screen and be seeing the finished piece as well, or you can print it out. Totally up to you. Now I'm putting some highlights on right now. I'm not going to wait to come back to those. There we go. Back to the dark green. May as well use some of this Jenkins green because it's there too. And I'm holding my brush way back here. Look at all the green paint under my nails. That's gross. Still plenty of paint on my brush. Plenty of paint. Variety of marks, variety of tones, variety of marks. Okay, some darker greens. Okay, there's a little bit of green up here as well. While I've got some of these darker greens on here, I'll pop the colours in, trying not to get too predictable with it. When you do start rushing though, that can happen. Sometimes I look at work and think, no, that I've rushed that. I have to do it again. So if you feel like, oh, I'm starting to rush things, you have to make a choice whether, like, it comes down to your why. So why are you actually doing the painting? Are you testing yourself to see what you can do in a very short amount of time? In which case, keep going and get loose and crazy with it. If that's not the reason that you're doing that painting, you might want to have a bit of time apart. Vicky Beths, who is watching tonight, commented that that's one of the memories of being in class with me. It's a step away from the painting. When it's time, it's time. If you need a bit of a break from each other, it happens. Okay, I'm building up more texture on the beach there. Okay, now as I'm coming around the base here, I can see this is lighter on the surface, the edge of the water, and then into there as well. There's some lighter shine on those rocks in there. Okay, now is that background dry enough? Almost. Now, remember I talked about mixing white. Here it is, transparent mixing white. It's a Liquitex brand, this one. Zinc white will do the job too in golden. Now, I'm not sure that this green that I put on there, shouldn't have done that. It's obviously still wet. And I could get out the hairdryer. Now I'm using the crappy old brush actually that I said I was going to put in the bin. But I'm just going to give it a go on here. I don't want very much paint on it at all. And I'm going to, can you see what it's doing there? I might just zoom in a bit. Okay, so I'm still keeping it quite textural, and it really is a dry brush. But it just sort of creates this cloudy look, cloudy over the background colours. Of course, they have to be dry, but this is the beauty of using transparent colours. When they're useful, they're really useful when you want this effect. So obviously you could do a coat of this lighter tone, or this, do one coat, and if you did a second coat it would be more opaque. Okay, need it to flow just a bit because it is out of the tube. So for this one, this next little mountain outcrop here, I do want 2 coats because then it will fade back further than the one in front. So I'll get 1 coat on first, and then very soon I'll come back and add that second coat. Okay, now I'm making these brush strokes sort of go the direction that of the surface direction that the outcrop is going. I'm going to just fade away the top edge of this rock as well with the mixing white. Look, you could have a go at this with water and titanium white. Just check that I'm still, yes, thank goodness, on the camera. But it's a more subtle way of adding white, I suppose. There we go, dotting it around a bit, adding that texture. This is getting a bit predictable here. I want it to be still textured, so I'll scumble it a bit more. Sometimes you really need to put a mark next to the whites on your palette so you pick up the right one. That happens often. I know in class I used to put a Z next to the zinc white and a T next to the titanium white. Now the top of this mountain, it really is just blending into the sky almost. It's hardly there. Am I adding water to the mixing white? Only to help with the flow. Because it's out of the tube, excuse me, I'll just swap those over a bit. I'll zoom back out again. Because it's out of the tube, this is the mixing white here, it is thicker to start with, okay? So a little bit of water. Oh. Hope you can see what I'm doing, yes. Just for flow's sake. But here, on this mountain edge, to just keep checking that you can see what I'm doing another coat. So it's like when you paint a wall and they say that multiple thin coats are better than one thick coat. It's the same with mixing white or zinc white. Multiple thin coats are better. Does slow you down a bit though, which could be a good thing. Okay, so I still want some of this coming down into here, but not going over all of that green. Okay, now I'm looking at my reference photo again, and this misty area is continuing down in here. I need a bit of lighter yellow in here, and I'll bring some brighter white in too, and I need to put this yellow tree back on. Okay, so I'm bringing in brighter white now, which is titanium white, and really being a bit blockier, breaking up that edge into the sky, which is very pale, right down, and I can see that it's a brighter edge where it separates out these two masses. Now I've adjusted the proportions, so I have to sort of keep with my plan. Now the white can't just be on the edge, it looks a bit wrong, doesn't it? So I'll bring in some more outcrops here that can be catching the light. I'm continually looking back at the reference photo. And I think my colours here are a bit too, like it's too dark next to too much light, so I need to bring in some slightly lighter tones. I'm bringing white, yellow and red in to make these orangey marks. And because that is now slightly lighter, the white doesn't stand out quite as much. And it gets darker and darker as it goes back behind the tree. And there's just these flashes of brightness. So this talking, and I know I mentioned this in yesterday's painting as well, talking as you go, even if you're talking to yourself, you can, you know. But if you talk through it with yourself, you are analysing what you're seeing. So if you're enjoying listening to me, oh, thank you. But you can also use this technique. I mean, I think of words, I think of what I'm seeing a lot to try and interpret how I'm going to give the impression of it on the page. Bring in some greeny yellow here. Yes, happy with that. That lighter yellow can go back, lighter green goes back into the mountains a bit too. Bit of an outcrop there. Time for this yellowy white tree. Looks like, I don't know what sort of tree that is. Could be a flaming beautiful wattle. It is very wattle yellow. And it could be wattle on the surface of the water if it's not a reflection. But it is the same yellow. Pop a little bit of green in there for good luck. And to help break up the marks. There's a bit of reflection here too. Bit of a reflection here. Bit of grasses over here. Gosh, the more you look at it, the more you'll see. Okay, and now the last thing I'm going to do is, like, this is the feature though, this little tree outcrop here. It's really important to get that bit right. So I'm going to come in and add a bit more detail with my number 6 round brush, which is the smallest brush I'm using, and just tidy up some of these edges. So to make these branches and trunks really stand out, you see, by adding this dark next to the light, it's making the light look lighter, the lighter tone look lighter. And I'm doing that on purpose. And hopefully these areas with more detail will catch the eye first. Still not doing it exactly like the original. I'm holding my brush closer to the tip now because I'm thinking details, and it allows me to thin down some of these lines as well. Bring in some other browny colours for in the bark there. And there's a real foot of the tree, it's sort of holding onto the beach. Okay, a few more details on these rocks. And there was that shadow behind there. Can thin down these ones now too. They were way too thick. So let's thin them down. Bringing some oranges and reds in as well. It's not all black. That would look too weird if it was all black. Needs a bit of variety there. But I do want to clean up some of those edges to make it thinner. Gone a bit too far there. Easily fixed though. There we go, fixed. No use stressing, just finding a solution is what's important. A little bit more dark green, I think, so I'm going straight for the Jenkins now, knowing it's what I want. And breaking up some of these areas that are just one flat colour, maybe even some ultramarine blue on my brush. Yes, tiny little dots adding that texture in. So pushing through really these sort of extra final details. Hopefully if you're painting with me, whether it's a Paint Along of the Month Club or it's live, or you're following along and copying or being inspired by these demonstration paintings, I hope that I encourage you to keep going a little longer than you would if you were painting by yourself. I think so many beginner painters give up too soon, and if they only had a bit of a coach to push them through and encourage them to finish it, they could get much more attractive results, things that encourage them to keep going. Okay, now I do just want to check with my phone because I'm a bit worried about the tones behind the tree. Let's see if it works in black and white. Okay, you can't see that on your screen. I'll take this photo and move it across. So there's a photo of it there. It isn't too bad actually. I think I need a bit of clarity here. Okay, but I'm happy with the surface of the water. I'm happy with this beach, and maybe I'll put something on this beach. These are two very similar tones still, so I could probably drop that back a bit more. Okay, so if I then take a photo of, or I can look at this in black and white. I guess they are still fairly similar there. And those trees, in reality, the green of the foliage does actually blend in with the red of the background a bit. Look how dark it is just to the right there of that main tree. Look how dark it is at the edge of the water as well. Look how light that yellow is reading. Is the light reading that yellow? Yep, the yellow is reading is very light on my, well, it's whiter there, isn't it? I could go even lighter on my picture. Okay, so that sort of comparison helps you know if you're on track with what's really there, but I can make it a more successful painting with a bit more variety there, I think, in the tones behind there. So I'll just do one more sweep on it. I'm going to bring in a bit more mixing white and knock this back even further. I have got a bit of texture going on there, like actual physical texture, and even further there as well. Some reds now, so I'm not looking, now that I've done that comparison, I'm not actually looking at the reference photo as much anymore. I'm trying to make it work as a painting now. White and yellow, you know, I could make that lighter. There we go. Happy with that. Maybe just a bit of yellow in here too. And let's put a bit of green, some grasses or something, coming down into the edge of the water there. That was a bit of shadow, so I'll put that back where it belongs. Bit of purple in there. Purple and yellow are complementary colours. Red and green are complementary colours. I do want that green to be a little lighter, so white, and that's better. Catching the top of those trees with a paler shade of green so that it stands out from the background, and it is the first thing we see. I will put a little bit of yellow in there just because yellow is this magic zinger colour. You can make things just look better. Ties the two sides of the paintings together as the painting together as well. Okay. And with my smallest brush now, a little bit of red just down the bottom of these trees. A little bit of red, a little bit of red. And on the very edge of the water, I just need a slightly cleaner line. And then we are done. Once again, holding it back from the tip. Just dancing, dancing, dancing with the surface of the paper. There is more white on the edge here. I can see that now. And you really could fuss, fuss, fuss. And then you might get to the end and think, oh, I didn't really enjoy that much. So if you feel like it's time to finish, it is time to finish. Don't push through and ruin it so you don't want to come back to it again. I think there are a few marks there that are a bit too obvious with these whites, so I'm going to just dilute those a bit with some red. I mean, I do want to give the impression that these rocks are red, so I can up that tone a little bit if I want to. Lord knows now I am. Bit of orange going on there, all the way up. A beautiful rich colour, which is what makes it such an impressive part of the world, I hope to get there one day. Not much of a camper anymore, so, but imagine I'd love to sit there and paint that in real life. Maybe an art trip one day, Linda. Okay, a bit of red in here too. Once again, this is just a funny little section down the bottom corner, but it ties the painting together as a painting, as it should. Okay, and now it is time for me to step away from this painting. Just trying to make some of those white lines a little less predictable, those ones that came in at the end there. I like to sandwich the colours between each other so you can't really tell what the last colour painted on there was if I keep enough variety in the mix. Okay, now this line is bothering me, so I'll just blend that line in. Sometimes I look at the lines and just turn them into shapes. That's another good way of doing it. Now, just noticing that that reflection is wrong because the tree went on afterwards. Let's pop this back in. The reflection needs to be under here. Okay, bit of bleeding there because it's still wet from where I had it on earlier. Just hinting at what is above. And I'll add a little bit of green as well for good luck. Adding those reflections. And of course, if I'm adding these reflections, there'll also be some red from the rocks as well. And that helps tie the parts of the painting together too. Pretty logical when you look at it all like that. Okay, looking through the screen, that area there is a bit busier here, so let's just bring in a bit of variety of colour and mark. Happier with that. Okay, until it gets serious when I stop talking, hey. All right, I'm going to sign my name. It's time. I have more painting to do tonight, which I'm not whinging about at all. This time I get to talk to myself as I paint. But I'm well and truly warmed up for the mural job tomorrow. So if you do feel that you are in the mood to paint, if you're inclined to paint, remember this is just a demonstration. If you want more guidance, you should try an actual paint along, which is a step-by-step class. Okay, I make a lot of decisions on the fly in these particular demonstration paintings. There it is. There it is. This is where you'll find it. bit.ly/Shah Landscapes is where you'll find, what number was this again? 7. 3 more to go after this. Was it 7 or 8? Can't remember now. Gosh. Okay, so I'm listing a few things here. I'll put this back on my face. Hello, hello, hello. So there we go. Remember, everything is better viewed from a distance. Hey, that looks all right. Always a nice surprise when you are up so close to it for so long, and then you get to see it the way it's meant to be seen, which is on a wall or a bit further away from your face than this. So always give yourself the benefit of the doubt. Another way to see your picture from a distance is to take a photo of it and look at it in your phone screen, and then you'll get that impression of being further away. The old masters would set up mirrors and have a mirror next to their easel and have a mirror on the back wall so that they could see what it looked like further away. That was one way of saving all that walking, going back to see what it looked like from a distance. The old masters also often used really, really long paintbrushes, and I think part of that might have been because they didn't have glasses and they needed glasses, but part of it is because they could see what they're doing from a distance. Okay, so now I've got that song in my head, from a distance. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. I hope you've enjoyed that. If you are watching on the replay, please say hi. If you are watching in the online version, you can just skip through, of course. And if you have skipped through, I hope you enjoyed it and got what you needed out of it. It's all about designing the experience for what you are looking for. Okay, I'm looking over here at my screen to see if there's any other questions, but I will go through them afterwards. Thank you for joining me. These will all obviously be for sale this Sunday, so if you are on the mailing list, you'll get notified about that too. But lots of fun. Thanks for giving me a great drawing or a great photograph to go from Sue. Nice to have a change from the blue skies and green grass, and Central Australia certainly does that for us. If you are not from Australia, you'll have to add that to your list. So Ormiston Gorge in the West Macdonald Ranges, just checking my notes there. Well worth at least Googling so that you can add it to your list. All right, have a great Wednesday night. I will see you again tomorrow for Shiny Happy Landscape number 8. Radio, bye.